Are you searching for direction in life? Have you given all of yourself to everyone else and have very little for yourself? Have you put you on the back burner while taking care of the responsibilities of everything and everybody else while neglecting yourself? Life coach and mentor Mischell Gee has told us the wait is over. In this new movement called The Green Room, she's assembled friends of every walk of life that will share with us transformative principles that will change our life's trajectory. Come join us for the Green Room experience. Your life will never be the same.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Green Room, where triumphs, trials, tests, and testimonies are main focus in The Green Room. In The Green Room, we defined our do's and our don'ts, our always and our nevers, and we have declared that the wait is over and the time is right now. And so I'm so excited about this week's episode in The Green Room. We all have a call to do something. There is a call that is waiting to be answered within each and every one of us. It's usually a process to get to know what that call is, but there's something that you're passionate about. There is something that only you can do. And this week we're here talking about the call to community. We look at the decay in our school systems and in our neighborhoods and the things that are going around us, and we think, what is going to happen next? Well, what's going to happen next is somebody's going to answer their call to community. Somebody's going to answer their call to serve, and things will gradually get better as the call is answered. And so we're excited this week. We're excited this week because I have community activists on stage with us tonight. Lakesha Burton, who is called to community. She is called to serve in her community, and we're so very excited about that. We're talking about the wait, and I ask all of the guests that come on The Green Room about wait. Women for so many years have been told to wait. Wait until the children get gone. Wait and see. Wait your time. Just wait. Well, we've decided that we're tired of waiting, and the wait is over. There's no more wait. There are things that only we can do, and we need to do them now. And so I ask every guest on The Green Room, tell us about your wait.
My wait. First of all, thank you for having me. So, believe it or not, I didn't know I was waiting until the moment came where I realized what my purpose was. So I've been unapologetically sharing my life journey of being sexually abused as a young girl, experiencing drugs, alcohol, becoming a single parent, and I was even arrested before. So I believe that all of those incidents that happened in my life prepared me for a career in law enforcement. So I believe that over those years that was my wait, but my preparation for me to achieve my ultimate goal was to be a police officer.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And we thank you for your many
Yes.
years of service. I know I have read in the newspaper a few weeks ago that you recently retired. I know I got an opportunity to see some of the wonderful things you were doing as far as serving the community in your zone. I actually attended a award ceremony that you implemented where you recognized some of the patrol officers at the George Moore Chevrolet. Tell us about some of the things you did in your zone to serve the community.
That's right. So I believe that we have to be community focused. So what I did was cultivate a culture of community policing with my officers in the zone. And so what that looked like was getting officers out of their cars into communities. So, we were in parks, we were in schools, we were walking communities, just getting them outside of their cars, engaging with our community. So whatever that looked like, I was really soliciting community to invite us out to community events. So I think that was something different that the community wasn't normally used to. The police department asking them to invite us out to events that they were having.
And so with doing that, what did you find your biggest challenge was in making that happen and bringing that to fruition?
Actually, it wasn't a challenge. I think that the community is hungry for law enforcement, a relationship with law enforcement, and it was a benefit for my officers because we have a very young workforce, and I believe that it was my obligation to make sure that this young generation of officers had the tools and had the ability to engage our community. So it was a win-win.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So you were a career law enforcement agent. Tell us a bit about your beginning in it, how you knew that this was the job for you in the process and how you got in the door.
Yes, so honestly, I always wanted to be a police officer at a very young age, and that was confirmed when I finally had my first encounter with a police officer because I reported that I had been sexually abused. But I graduated from the University of Central Florida, and if it were not for Nat Glover, the first African-American sheriff here in Duval County, because when I graduated from college, I applied with the Orlando Police Department, and they would not hire me because I had an arrest on my record. And I'll never forget, my pastor called the Sheriff Glover here and told him my story and handed me the phone, and I talked to him for 5 minutes, and I never forgot what he said. He said, "Come home, I'm gonna give you an opportunity." And that was literally 24 years ago. So every opportunity that I've ever received, I have used it for good. So obviously, coming into this male-dominant profession, when I started, there weren't many women, there weren't many Black women, so I knew that in order to affect change, that I needed to have a seat at the table, and what that looked like was being promoted. So I was very blessed to earn every rank within the agency, sergeant and lieutenant, and I had the pleasure of being appointed to the sheriff's staff as an assistant chief.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what's one of your most memorable moments in your role as a law enforcement officer?
Well, so many. This has truly been a calling for me. So everything that the devil meant for bad that happened to me in my young life, I've been able to reach at a deep level people in our communities that have been hurting all over. So I've been in the trenches of communities all over this city. But I would have to say, it's probably my life came full circle when I became the executive director over the Police Athletic League. It was that very entity that saved my life at 16 years old. I had an encounter with a police officer who caught me stealing out of Walmart, and this police officer showed me so much compassion and discretion, and he saw more in me than I saw in myself. Instead of taking me to the juvenile detention facility, he took me over to the POW at 16 years old with my baby. And in 2015, my life came full circle when I became the first female executive director over POW. God is good.
Yes, wonderful.
Yes.
That is wonderful. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
You know, life has a way of always coming back around. You said Sheriff Glover told you to come home, and you came home. Now that you've been home for 24 years, what do you think home needs? What is it that you can offer home?
Home for me, and I believe that everybody should have a safe home, a safe community, a place where you can sit out on your porch without being fearful of crime, you being a victim of a crime. So that's what home is for me.
Okay, all right. That is pretty phenomenal. I'm just so excited and in awe of the fact that you can have a dream, you can know that that's your purpose, you can have an opportunity to walk in it, you can have a successful career in it, and you can walk away. Tell us about the walk away and the why.
Well, this was not an easy decision, but I felt very compelled to retire early, to get in the race early on. I believe that it's time for change, and I am the change that we need. So, and I consulted with the Lord, and He told me to get in this race. So, although I've been retired, I don't feel like it because I've been on the campaign trail full time. So, I'm just excited. It's time for us to have a different leader who sees through a different lens and understand that we have to address our crime issue and our relationship issue from a different perspective.
So as a leader, what is it that we can expect from you? What would we expect that to look like?
Yeah, so you can expect to see a sheriff who's going to be visible, accessible, and accountable to the people. And I can tell you, I talk about these 4 C's. I talk about culture, changing the culture of the police department. I talk about us being focused and community, really cultivating a culture of community policing. And that is how we're going to address crime. We need to work with our community. And then obviously be conservative in terms of spending because, you know, the sheriff's office has a large budget. So I want to make sure that we are spending the taxpayer dollars effectively.
And what has prepared you to lead at this level?
I think all of my personal life experiences, I tell people all the time I was already tough mentally, physically, emotionally before I put on a uniform. So I think all my life challenges, and then obviously 24 years of doing this job in this male-dominant profession, they will get you ready.
Yes.
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 I'm
yes.
sure it will. I'm sure it will.
Mm-hmm.
Enough about that. There's so much more to you than meets the eye. You are a mother, you're a wife, you're a community activist. How do you balance all of your natural responsibilities with the call that's been placed on your life to lead in the community? How do you make that happen?
Yeah, I think it's organic. It has happened naturally. I think that's what happens when you are operating in your purpose. All of those things kind of come together. So a lot of people ask me all the time, aren't you tired? How do you do all that? So I just think that, I'm so grateful. Because back in 1992, I was at a place where I wanted to give up. And if I had access to the firearm that I've carried for 24 years, I wouldn't be here today because I was contemplating suicide. So every day that I wake up, I'm so grateful. All that I've been through, I should be crazy in jail, or dead, So I'm so very grateful every day that I wake up, and I live a life of liberation and a life of truth, and I want to make a difference every day.
All right. Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for those that are kind of vacillating with a call to serve in the community, be it law enforcement or just serving in the different areas in the community where there's a need? What advice would you give somebody that's vacillating with offering themselves for service?
Right. I think that when you operate in your gift and you are living a life of purpose, whatever that is where your joy is going to come from, So the work that I do is not because I'm a police officer, it's because I'm a child of the Lord. And that is where my joy and peace come from. So whatever that is that you're passionate about, I would say, just take a risk and get in it. My life is so fulfilling, if you will.
That's wonderful. Sometimes we search in so many places and so many things looking to fill the holes in the plugs. And really, it's just really tuning in with what we're called to do and what we should be doing. And so I'm so excited. We're going to have more when we come back from commercial.
So you've been watching the show. Would you like to be a content provider yourself and develop a show for the Inspire Network? Please give us a call today at 904-389-5592 or go to www.connecttv.info to submit a show idea. Do you love video production? Would you like to have a career in video production but don't know where to start? Your problem is you have no one to teach you. Well, the Inspire Television Network is initiating its apprenticeship program. We'll teach you video production, how to set up the simple camera operation, post-production, and advanced editing. Imagine sitting down with an expert and being taught weekly how to do it. It's a 6-month program that requires a minimum of 10 hours a week of hands-on training and 3 hours a week of classroom training. You've always wanted to make movies or learn production. This is the perfect program for you. Give us a call today at 904-389-5592 or sign up at www.learntv.today. Would you like to reach more people with your message, but it seems like you've reached the social media glass ceiling? Has it been a nightmare for you to have the content but can't attract the right viewers? Are you frustrated because you're not getting the results that you desire? Let us give you a precise 72-hour plan that'll refocus your strategy with the Inspired Network Branding Department. We can take your business or project to the next level. For more information, give us a call.
You're watching the Inspired Network, and maybe you're watching us on social media. Immediately go to your Roku device, press Add Channel, and download us today.
Are you having trouble reaching the masses? Are you preaching messages and no one seems to be hearing you? There's only a few people on your Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Then you need the Maximizer by Chrome Media. For more information about this advanced internet connecting technology, contact us today and see how we can help you reach thousands every week within 7 days. No additional equipment is needed and no need for advanced training. Go to MaximizerNow.org or call us at 904-389-5592.
Hi, I'm Lorenzo Patterson. This is my wife, Barbara Patterson. We are the owners of Excellent Housing LLC. Now, in this business, we are real estate investors, of which we buy and wholesale houses, and we also remodel other owned houses. If you have a house that you need to be remodeled, we'll subcontract it and bring that house into beauty. We're asking you to look on our brochure on Facebook and check us out.
And the advantage that we have being real estate investors is that we are able to repair our own homes because my husband can subcontract. And so I'm excited. So just check us out, Excellent Housing LLC. We make it happen.
And welcome back to the Green Room, where trials and tests and testimonies become the very thing that launch us into our purpose. For we've declared in the Green Room that the wait is over and the time is now. We're so excited to have Lakesha Burton here with us. And before we went for break, I told you that there's so much more to her than meets the eye. She is the retired law enforcement officer. She is an aspirant for the office of sheriff. She is a mother. She's a wife. You're also an author. Tell us about that.
I am a new author. So for years and years, I have advocated for literacy, and every time I would go grab a book to read to young kids about police officers, I noticed there was never any representation in the book. So for years and years, I thought that one day I'll write a book. And so I finally did it last year, and just published it a couple months ago. So I created a book. Her name is Officer Star. She looked like me, she act like me, and sound like me. So it's a book to help really bridge the gap between law enforcement and young children so they won't be afraid of police officers.
Much needed.
Yes.
Excited. How would we ascertain a copy of this book?
Yes. So I have a whole bunch of them in my garage, but I'll put them to the side until after the election. So,
okay.
Yes, I'll be providing some information in the next couple months.
That's going to be wonderful.
Yes.
Definitely literacy and having things that we can relate to is definitely what we need to propel us into the future and for success. I think when girls see situations that look like them, they offer hope and they can become Lakesha Burton.
Absolutely. And that's the whole purpose of that book. So when you see children's books about police officers, they normally talk about the role of a police officer. So I was very intentional to speak on social issues like self-esteem or being kind. So things that will, help to empower young girls.
So maybe a serial book. Maybe you come back with a different title.
Yes.
Officer Star.
Yes, that's the goal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Right. I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm a new fan. I told y'all there's so much more to Lakesha Burton than meets the eye. We talked about wife. We talked about mother, retired law enforcement officer, sheriff aspirant, the author, and the nonprofit. Tell us about your nonprofit.
Yes. So my nonprofit is very near and dear to me. I started that nonprofit in honor of my twin sister. Her name was Tisha. She passed away 4 years ago, and it was a way for me to grieve without her. So at 1 year old, she developed a cerebral palsy, so she lived a life where she couldn't talk or walk, but I promised her at an early age that I would live my life ×2 for her. So the doctors didn't think she would live out of her teen years, and she survived until we were 42. She was one of the most resilient human beings that I know. So when she passed away, I just, every day I had to learn how to live without her, and it was very difficult. So my husband had this idea. So everything that I've always done in the community, he said, why don't you put it underneath an umbrella of a nonprofit? You've already ran a nonprofit. You know how it works. You certainly know how to raise money. So I started under the nonprofit It's called Tisha's Hands. So basically, I do work. I just want to serve those who are most vulnerable in our society. So we do the work here locally, nationally, and internationally. Matter of fact, over the last 6 years, I've been to 5 different countries doing the work in honor of my twin.
So service really is who you are. That's really what you do.
Absolutely. If it were not, I tell people I have always been in the trenches of the community all over our city because that's where I was met when I was in the trenches. So I feel a deep obligation to give back.
I'm so excited about the possibility just of where we could go, what hope could look like. What are some of the things that we could expect as far as the Sheriff's Office? What are some of the things that we could do to transform it?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we have to do is get out the vote and make our voices known so we have to start electing the people who have the capacity to make the change. And a lot of times we don't do our homework, but I tell people we got to do our homework to make sure we vote for the right people. So until we have new leadership, it's very difficult to change anything. So when I get in, first of all, that will be a paradigm shift, just like it was back 2 decades ago when Jacksonville elected their first black sheriff. So this whole idea is Jacksonville ready for a black female sheriff? I can tell you, yes, get ready. So we have a tremendous opportunity. What better time to have a new leader leading this basically new agency, because 70% of the police department is new. They're very young. We've hired over 1,000 police officers over the last 6 or 7 years. So they literally, 70% of our workforce have 7 years or less on the agency. And if there were ever a time to change the culture of policing, it is now with this new generation of officers who are really hungry and sponges.
And so what do you see that their greatest need is?
The greatest need is really, I talk about this, mental health. You know, this job, this profession is very difficult. It's hard, especially this day and time. So I'm a huge proponent in, mental health. If officers are not healthy, if they're not properly trained coming to work, they cannot provide good service to our community. So I think that's part of changing the culture. You have to invest in the mental health of the officers and obviously make sure that they're trained properly and they're being held accountable. So, but that's the first step, because if officers are not healthy coming to work, they can't provide healthy service to our community.
Oh, that's so true. That's so very true. So mental health being at the forefront of what you want to provide for the officers, what is at the forefront for the community?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I've always been a huge proponent on mental health. Obviously, I experienced one of the most horrific crimes that could happen to a child. So I've learned how to live through my own trauma. So a couple things. So I was really instrumental in what the department has right now is incorporating a co-responder program. So what that means is that we now have licensed mental health counselors riding full-time with police officers on the streets. So we piloted that for a year, and now it has expanded to 12 officers. So I think that's a win-win. As the executive director, I ensured that we had funding to have mental health counselors at each of the different sites. So, and that model is still in place, and many of the nonprofits in our city have that model now as well. So there's a lot of work to be done. So mental health is for all of us. So all of us, so.
That's wonderful. And as a member of the community, what can I do to help?
Yes.
What can I do to help Jacksonville Sheriff's Office? I obviously live in the city, and I'm concerned about the safety of the city and the overall health of my community. What can we do to help the Sheriff's Office?
Yeah, I think that what I've seen over the years, obviously, we have to do a better job in law enforcement, but also the community has to do a better job as well. I think that we're living in times where we're so very divided, and I believe that we're stronger together. You know, so this whole idea that it's us against them and them against us, I want it to be we, and we have to, you know, come together and really begin to work together. So it's going to take time. We have to restore that trust, and it starts with communication. Relationships mean everything. So what I'll tell people is to get involved, get connected, talk to police officers, So there are a lot of different programs that are offered through the sheriff's office as well. I just think people have to get involved and get connected and make your voices heard, hold the sheriff's office accountable. We serve the community. The community is our customer. So like with any other, if you go out to dinner and they give you cold food, guess what? You're going to talk to the management and say, look, I want better food. So good customer service would bring you fresh food. So I just think that's the whole concept with us as law enforcement. We're here to serve our community, and we should be listening to what the concerns are and making the necessary adjustments.
That is a phenomenal concept. I'm telling you, I'm sitting here thinking, getting involved, and thinking of ways I can get involved so many times. Things that have happened, and we remain silent or we complain amongst ourselves, and little to nothing is done when you won't sound the alarm that, hey, there's a problem, or hey, I have a solution to a problem.
That's right.
What can we do to offer suggestions for programs and for things that would be beneficial? How does that fit into your paradigm shift?
It does. So we already have community meetings. So our city is broken up into 6 zones, numbered 1 through 6, and there's an assistant chief that is in charge of each zone, and that chief has a meeting every month. But people can also go online and submit suggestions. So it's a number of ways. We have a citizen, a ride-along program. So if you want to ride with a police officer, you can do that. Maybe you may be interested and want to, join the force. Who knows? So we have just various things like the Citizens Academy. It allows the citizens to come and kind of see what the police do behind the doors, So I think that the more that the community understands the role of the police officer and what we do and why we do it, it just gives a better appreciation to and better understanding.
That parallels with the concept of the green room. I think the more that women understand the roles that each of us play in society, the things that we face day to day, that we're more alike than we are different.
Absolutely.
It makes us more compassionate. It makes us more willing to help one another and to support each other, and to see that kind of concept is what you'd like to take into the next paradigm shift is, just really mind-blowing that the concept, it works when we understand each other.
That's right.
Oh, how we act a whole
Yes.
bunch different. Because it's not that much difference between me and you.
That's right. That's right. Except for them nice glasses you got on. I try. Yes.
I want to have you leave us with a thought for today. And the thought is how one person can light the flame. And it doesn't take a whole army of people, it doesn't take a whole lot of money, but how one person can be passionate about something, light the flame, answer the call to community. Can you talk about lighting the flame, answering the call to community, be it serving a police officer, fireman, whatever, community. One person, flame, answer your call.
Yeah, so I often think about, if not me, then who? And it takes, you being willing to be vulnerable, because for a long time people always said to me, why do you share such intimate, private things? And what I came to the conclusion that is how we help others. There are so many people hurting. There's so many people that are afraid to speak up because they are the pain and the shame and the embarrassment of whatever that is that has victimized them. It makes them silent. So for me, I think that, it's just being bold, right? And stepping out. Every time that I've shared my story over the years, it has resonated and impacted somebody's life. But I realize that it's important for me to continue to share, because every time I do, it's not only for other people, but it's for me as well. And I have this new layer of healing over my heart every time I share, so I continue to do that. But I just think that we have to, if we're going to make a difference, we have to step out on faith, we have to be bold, and I like to say, you know, you have to have guts, grit, with grace.
Guts, grit, and grace, the three trees.
That's right.
I like that. Y'all
That's
hear
right.
that? Guts, grits, and grace.
And grace, yes.
Oh, that's a t-shirt right there.
Oh, it is?
Oh yeah, I love that. I love
Yes.
it. Guts, grits, and grace. Thank you so much for your candor and just for sharing your heart and who you really are and showing us the multi things that Lakesha Burton really is. Author, foundation visionary, mother, wife, retired law enforcement officer, and aspirant to the office of sheriff. You're so much more than what we see sitting in this chair. And I pray that whatever your desires are, that God grants them for you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And thank you for your presence here this evening.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you.
And welcome back to the Green Room, a call to community. Service is the price you pay for your rent here on earth. To develop a richer perspective of the world, service is an essential part of preparing yourself to take responsibility as an open-minded citizen in the global community that we live in today. While performing service, people of all ethnic backgrounds and ages, it affords the opportunity to see firsthand just how much your work can impact the world. We're grateful to the community activist Lakesha Burton for the candor she displayed in her interview this evening. And we look forward to seeing what her continued service to all humankind will look like in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. It's me, Mischell Gee, and I'm sounding the alarm here in the Green Room. The wait is over.
The following show is a paid commercial program. The views and opinions expressed within do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff and management of the Inspired Network.
Our communities have struggled. It's time to rebuild and heal. Now, it's time that we follow the trusted voices and get vaccinated.
We are the heartbeat of the community.
Jacksonville Coronavirus Education and Engagement Task Force.
Hi, Jacksonville. My name is Michelle Holmes with SVR Realty. I am your home buying and selling specialist in the Jacksonville area. I can help anyone, military included, buy a home, sell one quickly. If you have any questions on your home value, please reach out to me for a free home evaluation. Do you need help with your VA loan benefit? My assistance? Call me, Michelle Holmes.
Do you need a morning prayer line? A place you can call to hear from God? Call the International Prayer Council Intercessory Prayer Line, Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 904-299-7241. Your financial support keeps the ministry alive. You can be a blessing by sewing via Cash App today at $TeachJax, or you can text to give at 833-481-15